Rorschach, the uncompromising vigilante from Watchmen, and the Punisher, Marvel's relentless one-man war on crime, stand as two of the darkest anti-heroes ever created. Both reject traditional justice systems, carving their own paths through brutality and fear. While Rorschach stalks the streets of a broken world with moral absolutism, the Punisher wages his war with military precision and unshakable vengeance. A fight between them isn't just a clash of weapons and fists. It's a collision of two philosophies forged in trauma and violence. What makes this battle so compelling is how similar, yet different, these men truly are. Rorschach thrives in the shadows, relying on unpredictability and raw conviction, while Punisher strikes with overwhelming firepower and ruthless efficiency. Neither compromises, neither surrenders, and neither walks away until the other is broken. Their encounter raises one question that grips every fan's imagination: when two unrelenting forces of justice collide, whose code will carry them further? To answer this, we must first explore Rorschach's origin, powers, and approach to combat. Rorschach's story begins with Walter Kovacs, a man born into a life of hardship and cruelty. Raised in poverty and abused by his mother, Walter grew up with a fractured view of humanity, one where corruption and evil were not the exception but the rule. His worldview hardened further after years of witnessing society's decay, eventually leading him to adopt the identity of Rorschach. The mask, patterned with shifting black and white inkblots, became the physical embodiment of his uncompromising morality. Unlike heroes who sought redemption or hope, Rorschach embraced absolute judgment. To him, the world was divided into good and evil with no room for gray. This rigid philosophy defined his role in Watchmen, where he became both feared and respected as a vigilante who never wavered in the face of injustice. In terms of abilities, Rorschach lacks the superhuman powers of many iconic characters, but he makes up for it with sheer grit, skill, and adaptability. His training in hand-to-hand combat, resourcefulness with improvised weapons, and mastery of street-level tactics make him a dangerous opponent despite his lack of raw strength. Rorschach has taken down larger, stronger foes through calculated brutality, using his environment as an extension of his arsenal. His endurance is remarkable. Whether surviving brutal street fights, harsh winters, or imprisonment, he consistently pushes past human limits. His detective skills also play a critical role, as his ability to uncover truths and expose corruption makes him more than just a brawler. These qualities make him one of the most feared street vigilantes in comics, not because of what he carries, but because of what he represents: unrelenting conviction. When it comes to battle, Rorschach's approach is ruthless and unpredictable. He thrives in chaos, using guerrilla tactics, psychological intimidation, and the element of surprise to overwhelm enemies. He doesn't fight clean and he doesn't fight fair. His style reflects his belief that justice is about results, not appearances. He is willing to maim, cripple, or kill if it ensures that evil is punished. Against someone like the Punisher, Rorschach would lean heavily on cunning, stealth, and his ability to strike from the shadows, knowing he cannot win a drawn-out firefight. His history proves he never backs down, even in the face of impossible odds, and his absolute refusal to compromise gives him a terrifying edge. With his approach laid out, it's time to shift focus to the Punisher's equally relentless origin, abilities, and mindset. Frank Castle's story is one carved in grief and vengeance. Once a decorated Marine with a distinguished military career, his life was shattered when his wife and children were murdered in the crossfire of a mob execution in New York's Central Park. That moment transformed him into the Punisher, a relentless vigilante who declared war on organized crime and anyone who preys on the innocent. Unlike other heroes who cling to hope or redemption, Castle abandoned all notions of restraint. His mission became singular: punish the guilty, no matter the cost. Throughout Marvel's history, the Punisher has faced gangs, cartels, corrupt officials, and even superpowered foes, refusing to yield. His background as a soldier forged him into a tactician, but his personal tragedy hardened him into an executioner, leaving a legacy feared by criminals across the world. The Punisher's arsenal is his true superpower. With no enhanced abilities, Castle relies on military training, weapon mastery, and unmatched tactical acumen. He is proficient with firearms of every kind, explosives, and melee weapons, often carrying enough firepower to wage a small war single-handedly. His feats speak for themselves, dismantling entire mafia families, taking down heavily armed militias, and standing toe-to-toe with enhanced heroes and villains alike. He has outsmarted foes like Daredevil and even earned the respect of Captain America for his combat skill and unwavering conviction. Beyond weaponry, his adaptability and resourcefulness in hostile environments make him nearly impossible to outmaneuver. Punisher doesn't need superpowers. His lethality lies in turning every battlefield into his territory, armed with precision, discipline, and a willingness to go further than anyone else. When approaching battle, the Punisher operates with military precision and brutal efficiency. He studies his target, anticipates their moves, and strikes where it hurts most, often before they realize they're being hunted. Unlike Rorschach, who thrives in improvisation and chaos, Punisher thrives in planning, ambushes, and overwhelming firepower. Against someone as erratic as Rorschach, Castle would likely rely on psychological warfare, combined with sustained firepower to break him down. He doesn't aim to fight fair. His strategy is to eliminate threats as quickly as possible, minimizing risk and maximizing damage. However, when faced with an opponent who refuses to compromise, the Punisher is forced to adapt, pushing the fight into darker territory. With both men committed to their own vision of justice, the stage is set for an explosive and unforgiving battle. The fight would begin in the shadows, both men stalking the other with calculated intent. Punisher, armed with reconnaissance and heavy weaponry, would likely make the first move, unleashing suppressive fire to pin Rorschach down. Rorschach, however, would not meet force with force at the start. His instinct would be to vanish into the environment, using darkness, narrow alleys, or improvised traps to narrow Punisher's advantage. The opening exchange would play out like a deadly game of cat and mouse, with Punisher's firepower forcing Rorschach into cover while Rorschach bides his time, waiting for the moment Punisher slips into his web. As the battle drags into the middle stages, their contrasting strategies would collide. Punisher's tactical efficiency and precision strikes would steadily chip away at Rorschach's defenses, cornering him with relentless pressure. Yet Rorschach's unpredictability would keep shifting momentum, throwing improvised weapons, striking from blind spots, and exploiting Punisher's reliance on firepower in close quarters. A key turning point might come when Rorschach closes the distance, forcing Punisher into brutal hand-to-hand combat. Here, Punisher's military training would give him an edge, but Rorschach's feral intensity and willingness to take punishment in order to land a decisive blow would tilt the balance back, creating a fight where neither can fully dominate. The conclusion would hang on a knife's edge, with both men bloodied, exhausted, and unwilling to yield. If the fight remains at range, Punisher's arsenal could wear Rorschach down, but if Rorschach drags the battle into the shadows and close quarters, his unpredictability might turn the tide. Neither man fights for glory. Both fight because they cannot do otherwise. That makes the outcome less about strength or skill and more about endurance of will. Would Punisher's military precision eventually crush Rorschach's raw conviction, or would Rorschach's refusal to compromise drag Punisher into a stalemate of brutality?